Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. A couple weeks ago we put out a first look on the King Cobra the day we brought it home. We hadn't even cleaned it or shot it or anything, we just basically took it out of the box and got it on the camera. Since then we've had a chance to take it to the range, check it out, shoot it, and come back with some impressions and of course the all-wanted shooting footage. So let's start out with just basically what is it. It's the Colt King Cobra. It's chambered in .357 Magnum, and of course you can shoot .38 Special in it. It's basically the big brother of the Cobra, and the second in the resurrection of the Snake series. And if this is popular, which so far the Cobra has been, it wouldn't surprise me to eventually see a Python and a Anaconda. But beyond that, the two that are available today are the Cobra and the King Cobra. So let's talk about this thing. First thing, of course, make sure that this snake doesn't have any venom. Dimensionally, it's a large revolver. It's 8 inches long from front to back. It's 5 inches tall, top to bottom, and it's 1.4 inches thick. And of course, on a revolver, the cylinder is the largest part of it, the diameter of the cylinder. It holds 6 rounds of either .38 Special or .357, and it weighs 28 ounces. This particular version, the King Cobra, comes with this Hogue overmold rubber grip. It's got finger grooves. You do have a full 3-finger grip on it, and when you're up there on it, you've got rubber protecting the web here. So it doesn't bang into you when you fire it. It doesn't really smack you. It's actually quite comfortable to shoot. The Recoil .357 Magnum can be noticeable. This manages that recoil quite well. And of course in .38 Special, you don't notice recoil at all, basically. The sights on this are a combination of a rear gutter and a front bead. The front sight itself is actually metal. And of course the bead is metal as well. And the sights are replaceable. You can pull out this screw and drop out the sight. I'm not sure if the Cobra and King Cobra sights are interchangeable, but it would give you the ability to swap out the sight if you wanted to. So I'll give you another view where you can actually see the bead. And it's a pretty bright bead, even though at the range it does have a tendency to sometimes fade out when you're trying to see it against the target, depending on the lighting. It took a little getting used to with the combination of the gutter and the bead, but it is actually quite visible for a sight. And many other sights, on revolvers tend not to be anywhere near as good. Some of the other features it does have a full lug. And of course, it's got an engraving of the King Cobra and actually a snake on the one side, the .357 Magnum marking, and then on the other side, basically has the Cobra, Colt information, Colt manufacturing information. It's a nicely done revolver. It should be a good successor to the King Cobra, the original King Cobra. A couple of questions that came up from the first look that we put out. One is people had identified numerous spots where it looked like there's damage. There wasn't. There was oil from the original packaging that was sitting in different places. And this particular finish, if there's oil on it or something like that, it'll show up very brightly. It doesn't hide the oil at all. The other question that came up is the finish. According to Colt, it's a brushed stainless steel. Of course, the revolver is stainless steel. But if you look at it, just looking at it, it doesn't really look brushed. It really has that very random pebbly pattern that you would get in bead blasting. But it's much more highly polished than the original Cobra, or the 2018 Cobra. And if I put the two side by side, I have this unloaded Cobra. And if I put the two side by side, you can see the difference. You can see that the matte finish really on the Cobra and a much more highly polished finish on the King Cobra. I'll play around with the lighting a little bit, see if I can get it where it doesn't overload. So it is shinier, it is more polished. I'm not going to disagree with Colt saying it's brushed. However, it doesn't really appear brushed. It really looks more like more highly polished bead blasted. The other thing I noticed that was actually kind of interesting, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but the hammer itself has the finish closer to the Cobra. It's a little bit more matte, a little less polished, and then this is a little more highly polished, but they have the same basic pattern. They have that pebbly pattern, which is why I want to say that the underlying treatment is probably the same, and then they've just polished it much more highly. The grip is comfortable. It is replaceable. You pull out the screw, replace the grip. The grips on the Cobra have a screw here, so I don't believe the grips are going to be interchangeable. So they're different grips. And if you look at that one here, which this has this really nice grip that we put on it, that has a screw in the center. So they're a different grip mounting pattern. So let's go ahead and talk about the trigger, because on a revolver that can make a big difference. We'll start with double action, and of course, it didn't load itself, so it still doesn't have any venom. It comes in at about 8 3/4 pound in double action mode, and it's very smooth, and it's not excessively long. So it's really a very nice double action trigger, and it was really easy to stay on target with it. When I put it in single action mode, just like the original Cobra or the 2018 Cobra, yeah, the trigger did move, barely. Comes in on the gauge around 3 3/4 pounds. I suspect it's actually a little bit lighter than that because it's so short, it's hard to stop pulling on the gauge. You recognize that it's clicked, and it's kind of hard to let go in time. I really suspect it's probably actually lighter than 3 3/4 pounds if you could actually measure it and stop at the exact right time of pulling on it. Now let's talk about the safety features on this revolver. It does have a transfer bar safety. So if I have it cocked, you see there's that little bar that's kind of covering the firing pin. That's actually going to allow the hammer to hit the firing pin. If I pull the trigger and then let go of the trigger, you'll see it moves out of the way as the hammer comes down, because the trigger's not pulled. So now the hammer cannot hit the firing pin. If I were to pull the trigger and keep it pulled, which you would normally during the firing sequence, you'll see that it stays put, and that allows the hammer to hit the firing pin. So it is perfectly safe to carry this hammer down on a live round, as long as you don't have it cocked. It would be safe to carry. If you drop it, the hammer cannot, even if it lands on the hammer spur, the hammer can't actually reach the firing pin. So load up your 6, don't cock it, leave it out there. If you find the need to use it, cock it and get ready for action. But other than that, it is safe to carry this and pretty much all modern revolvers, fully loaded, hammer down on a live round. The only issue we encountered with this was actually with hammer shooting it, because he's got larger hands. When he gripped it, look how close my finger, and I've got average size hands. My fingers are a little bit thicker, but my hands are average size. And I'm just grazing the trigger guard. With Hammer's hands, which are larger than mine, they're up against the trigger guard. And I had a tendency to smack him there. Didn't smack back here, but it gave him a good smack on that knuckle. So he probably will swap out the grip on this with, if somebody comes out with one that has a little bit more undercut or moves the grip back a little bit to clear the fingers around that finger guard. Just don't know how much that'll cost to find those grips, but I'm sure that there's some point somebody will come out with them. So if you've got large hands, you might want to consider that. From a retail price on these, MSRP is $8.99. We got this one when they first came out for $8.43. Looking at the same place, they're looking about $8.59 right now. But when I look around at the auction sites, I'm seeing them in the low 9s up to, some guys wanting $1,500 and a buy it now. Now, the place that we got these from and that you're seeing it at $8.59, they're out of stock. So if you can find one and you find somebody that's acting reasonably, you'll probably pay in the low 9s, a little bit of an overcharge. These don't seem to be getting the ridiculous overcharges that the Cobra did when it first came out. And I'm sure that'll settle down once the market availability. The only other thing that's worth talking about, it does have a 3-inch barrel. So let's let you see what that barrel looks like. It's well machined, it's smooth. It does have a little bit of a recessed crown. Of course, it's standard rifling. And it's stainless steel, so it should be durable and hold up quite well. The chambers are also very well polished and smooth. So it's a well done gun, it really is. Everything on it works smooth, the ejection works smooth, it functioned flawlessly, rotation was smooth. It truly is well done, which you tend to see with Cobra. They do a good job. Their machining isn't ultra super precision like some, but they do a really good job. They're nice, and you get really nice triggers and reliability in them. That 3-inch barrel also gives it kind of a nice balance. It sits in the hand, it's not nose heavy, it feels good, and tames the recoil. So if you're looking for a home defense gun, you're looking for a range day gun, you could concealed carry this. It's a little bit on the big side, but I've seen people carry much larger. It's more suited to outside the waistband carry if your carry is your gig, but definitely home defense. This would work great for home defense. If you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell if you do. Check us out on Facebook and Patreon, and have a great day. Thank you.